It's Only Sport with Martin Devlin on the platform. Brought to you by One New Zealand. Let's get connected.
We are down to 6 in the NRL, ladies and gentlemen. And he got all 4 right last week. Panthers over Roosters, Storm over Sharks, Cowboys to beat the Knights. Did you pick the Dogs over the Eagles? No, I think you picked Manly, didn't you, Costo?
Well, I'm not sure about that because Canterbury playing at home, and I'm a big fan of their defence. But
well, where did it go last weekend in the last 10 or 15 minutes?
Well, I have to take that question on notice. But Canterbury. Look, they're lamenting what might have been, and they could have won that game. They could have won that game. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, listeners. But it's all fish and chip paper now.
It is, mate. That's the thing. All right, well, let's go through them before we go through and talk about these 2 semi-final games. Panthers and the Storm dominant. Yeah, there were chances for the Roosters and the Sharks, but these 2 teams, again, appear as though they're a cut above.
Correct. And, we've been speaking about this and about Melbourne's credentials for the title and Jerome Hughes, the plaudits. I think Melbourne will need a very good opponent on the day to get it right to stop them from lifting the trophy. And I think if you had Cleary on your program, coach or player, they would say that Melbourne deserved to be the favourites. No coach will say, we're the team to beat. When was the last time you heard that from a coach or a player? We're the team to beat.
Never.
The team to beat is Melbourne.
Well, and that is because he has once again been an absolute master, hasn't he, in the way that he's planned his season. And, I get so many messages from Warriors fans bemoaning the fact that, injuries this year weren't able to put our top team out, blah, blah, blah. Neither did Melbourne, neither did Penrith. Why are those teams and squads so much better than everyone else?
Well, Marty, let's go straight to the spine. The best player in the competition is Jerome Hughes. And we're going to get confirmation of that real soon, if you don't believe that sermon that I'm giving you and your listeners right now. He's the best player in the competition. And I said to you, was it last week or the week before? If he was in Sydney, they'd be all over him like a cheap suit, the media. Because he's a New Zealander and not an Aussie, and because he plays for a club in Melbourne or Victoria and out of the limelight, he is, in the proverbial sense, under the radar. He's an amazing player. He's the Stacey Jones of today. He's the Sean Johnson of today. If you said to me who's going to win the Golden Boot, following in the likes, footsteps of players, Wally Lewis and many others that have won that award, Thurston and so forth, Lockyer, Jerome Hughes, I think, could actually lift the Premiership trophy, win the Pacific Championships again with the Kiwis, and get the Golden Boot. Watch this space. He's an amazing player, and the Warriors don't have a player like that. And most other clubs don't have a player like that. And that's before you go on to other positions. And they've got depth. Someone like Will Warbrick, he came over. I hate to break it to Union supporters, but not everyone who comes across the rugby league can cut the mustard. It's a difficult game. There's nowhere to hide in rugby league. Warbrick has been a sensation. They've had great wingers in the past and they've gone off to Union or got disinterested or wanted to go and catch a cold on the wing playing in Japan or whatever. And they just keep finding players and turning average players into champions.
Say so. Okay, right. We're going to stop this right here, okay? And the rugby union lives rent-free inside that head of yours, doesn't it? You say something nice about rugby union. You keep harping on about it, mate.
Well, I harp on about it because I know who your listeners are and I know which country I'm broadcasting or you're broadcasting to. And, apparently there's a bloke called Collins who's been asked by the Broncos to tell them what went wrong at the Brisbane Broncos this year. I don't know who Collins was. Last time I checked, he was an astronaut.
Who? Collins? I'm going to tell you, I'm scratching my head.
Yeah, well, your producer will be all over that because, it's his team and the Broncos have started their Royal Commission, if you like, into what went wrong. Look, what I'm saying is that players come from all different walks of life, different backgrounds and whatnot, and whether it's from rugby union or whether they're playing backgammon or checkers, they come to the Melbourne system and they've got a great feeder club. Don't forget that once upon a time, players like Billy Slater and Cooper Cronk and so forth, Cameron Smith, they're playing for Norths in the Queensland Cup. So they've got great systems in place. They've got great people in the organisation, and they make average players. They turn them into champions. And Bellamy is a genius. And as I said, his retirement is not far away. I think if you look at Bennett, who wants to keep going on and on and on, Bellamy should do the same. He's still got a lot more to give. If Craig Bellamy said to me, what do you think? I said, mate, whether you're coaching the Western Bears, the new expansion team, we've got the team in Papua New Guinea that seems to be, well, almost a fait accompli from what we've heard and what we've been covering on rugbyleague.com with our news in the last 24 hours. Bellamy should continue as a coach because he is running a very good show there, and they're the benchmark. And along with Penrith, there's a big gap probably, with an exception to the Roosters. These clubs are well run. Parramatta, for example, they're run by solicitors and accountants and whatnot. That's why it took them 2 months to find a coach. They wasted time, and they nearly ended up with a wooden spoon after they got rid of the coach. They actually went backwards and nearly ended up with the wooden spoon because they've got people there that don't know the game.
Let's turn our attention to the two this weekend then. And the 1 and 2, as they finished, go straight through. They got the week off. And so the final four is going to be who? Friday night, Sharks versus your Cowboys. And I know that you're giving yourself a fair whack of a chance going down there, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. And I'll tell you what makes me even bullish in my prediction in tipping
Hang on
the
a second,
Cowboys.
just interrupt.
Yes.
Michael Collins, ex-chief CEO, is the guy going to Broncos. There you go, who's going to sort of helping with the review. Wasn't he in charge when the Chiefs went 0-8 under Gatland? I'm pretty sure he was.
Well, you'd know that.
Yeah.
And for most people in Queensland who follow rugby league, well, they'd have to Google it. They'd have no idea. So, it's not for me to tell Dave Donaghy.
To be honest here, mate, he's not a name that stands out for a lot of people. Unless you really know your rugby, I don't think, no disrespect to Michael Adore. I've dealt with him a few times, a very nice bloke, but I'm not saying that he's actually, he's not in a name that just all of a sudden jumps out of any administration in terms of going, wow, that guy, okay? Anyway, go back to the Sharks Cowboys.
Yeah, look, the Cowboys, I'm tipping them, and as I say, the word is bullish. I'm bullish about their chances this week.
Son. Get it up. Talk it up, mate.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Cowboys, they had an issue early in the week. They couldn't find enough seats on planes to get their team to Sydney. And the NRL has chipped in. Apparently it's cost them $100,000 to get a charter flight out of North Queensland to get them to Sydney to play the game on Friday night because there weren't enough seats because the fans, the Cowboys faithful, who are famous for chipping in, throwing their coin, supporting their team through good times and bad, and there's been a lot of bad. People forget that. I remember those early days because I was there calling them, and I think they won 2 games in their first season. They were a laughing stock. But anyway, come forward to today, there weren't enough seats on the plane, so the Cowboys then said to the NRL, can you help us out? So they've got a charter flight. So I'll tell you what, cutting the travel out, that's a big leg up. So the home ground advantage for Cronulla this week is lessened, if you like, because the Cowboys have got this charter flight bringing them straight into Sydney. Their confidence is sky high. Yes, there was a bit of some anxious moments and then some against Newcastle, but they won. So they're one of those 6 teams that are still kicking going into week 2 of the playoffs. If you ask the Cronulla supporters, are they keen to play the Cowboys this week? Some people would say,
well,
look,
according to you, they're not keen to play any game of rugby league ever.
Well, they are.
Even though they won 16 games or 15 games, whatever it was.
Yeah, but again, go 16. Back and look at the games that they won,
here we go.
who they won, who they beat, and the circumstances in which they won.
It's Only Sport with Martin Devlin on the platform. Brought to you by One New Zealand. Let's get connected.